course, I'm Tammy Bruce, your spokesperson for the State Department.
Two things I just want to check to make sure that you don't have anything to add either on the release of the American or on the Russia-U.S. talks in Istanbul from the statement. Do you have anything to add on either of those?
Well, I have a few things I can add because
please.
I'm talking and I
Please
can't
do.
shut up. That's my situation here. So obviously we know the situation is that one thing I want to reinforce that I mentioned in my announcement is calling on Russia to release Stephen Hubbard, who has been detained for nearly 3 years. We continue to work to free Mr. Hubbard and all other Americans unjustly detained, and we have not forgotten about all those Russia continues to detain in this manner, to say the least. To secure Ksenia's release, Russian national Arthur Petrov, your alarm's going? Arthur Petrov was returned to Russia. And that is all I'll share in that regard. But obviously she is on her way home, and that is what the story is in that regard. And that's a promise President Trump made when he first came into office, was to make sure that all Americans being held around the world would, in fact, be home.
So then, to my question that maybe you can answer a little bit on is the departure of Ambassador Brink from Kyiv. Do you have anything to say about that?
I do, says Tammy Bruce. Wow, all right. Because we had just discussed this.
Right. Well, we also had discussed something a little bit earlier.
Yes.
The blanket statement that we, the State Department, do not discuss personnel matters.
Well, that is something we've discussed at great length, and in this particular case, Ambassador Brink's been ambassador at the embassy in Ukraine for 3 years, during a time of war for those 3 years, an extraordinary performance there, and we wish her well. At the same time, of course, it's a reminder when it comes to the issues that we think about that surround this conversation, is that we know that we're working for that war to end. And that is our focus. And we expect, of course, our work that will continue in that regard. But that's the nature of what we're focusing on here. And we wish her well. And that's really all we would say in that regard.
And speaking of negotiations, can you give us an update on what is expected on Saturday with the Iran talks? Because Foreign Minister Araghchi's column in the Washington Post yesterday made it very clear that there would be no talks if the U.S. was insisting that they are direct. And of course, the position, as repeated today in the cabinet meeting, was that they will be direct talks. So do you still expect these talks to take place on Saturday? And will they begin indirect talks and then move to direct, or is there some resolution of that?
Well, I'm not on the team that makes that decision or has those conversations, right? And we're not going to litigate that here. As I said on Tuesday, and repeatedly say really about everything, if the president says something, that's my North Star. And they're the ones in the midst of the discussions regarding the arrangement of this meeting, and we'll leave it to them. So I'm not going to speculate on that or what will happen. There are clearly some very, very good and very important diplomats involved in this, including, of course, Special Envoy Witkoff. And we'll leave it there. We'll find out. At this point, yes, that is still underway. It's happening. And we look forward to it as a good first step to find out if the Iranians are serious.
Follow up on Ukraine as well. Tomorrow marks 30 days, 1 month since Ukraine, did basically sign in your ceasefire deal, and Russia refused. Has been delaying since then, and as we speak, they keep attacking Kyiv right now. May I get your perspective on that, please?
Well, the perspective, I think everyone understands the perspective, is that President Trump is involved in this. We've got the best diplomats in the world, with certainly being led by Secretary Rubio. All of our leadership, particularly President Trump and Secretary Rubio in public, have made it clear what's at stake when it comes to the nature of this situation ending. It is a dynamic that will not be solved militarily. It is a meat grinder. There is nothing else can be discussed for the outcome until the shooting and the killing stops. Secretary Rubio made clear at NATO in his press conference that we would in fact know in a matter of weeks if Russia was serious. And so we'll take him at his word, certainly, as we do. And I think Russia certainly needs to take that seriously, and we'll play that out. But this is not going to go on for 6 months or a year or anything else. And the president has also made it clear we want diplomacy. But the fact is that we're watching and judging as this process continues.
The French president yesterday said that France would recognize a Palestinian state within months, and he suggested that he could do it alongside Saudi Arabia at a UN conference in New York in June. The U.S. has long opposed any unilateral recognition. Is that still your position? Do you have a comment on his?
Well, I can tell you that we are aware of course, the reports that you refer to regarding the French government's remarks, and we refer you to them for further comment. What I can also, though, say is that the United States stands firmly with the state of Israel in its pursuit to bring all the hostages back home and the defeat of Hamas. The groundbreaking Abraham Accords and the devastating October 7th attacks have forever changed the Middle East. As a Special Envoy Witkoff has said, we need to explore new policy prescriptions that ultimately end up in a better life for the Gazans and the Palestinians. Look at the discourse that's now happening today, he said. We're actually engaging in a productive conversation around what is best for Gaza and how we can make people's lives better. This administration will continue to engage our partners in the region on a serious solution for Gaza that secures peace and the release of all the hostages, among them 5 Americans, including Idan Alexander.
On that, the
Yes.
UN Secretary General called Gaza a killing field. He noted that it's been more than a month since Israel has allowed aid into Gaza. Are you guys pushing Israel to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza, given it has been a month and conditions are incredibly dire, people are dying, and you just mentioned folks need to be able to live?
Sure,
quality
yes, they
life.
do. And when there was, of course, a ceasefire. Aid was flowing into the region. People were getting food and other aid that they needed, including medical aid, because of the ceasefire that allowed that to move forward. We, of course, stand by our ally Israel. The ceasefire was abandoned by Hamas. You know, it's not just a feeling, it's a fact of the matter that there was a ceasefire and aid was flowing. Hamas abandoned that ceasefire, decided that it was, I don't know what they would decide, but it's the kind of thing that monsters do and continue to do. So obviously the work does continue every single day in that region and other regions to stop the fighting, to make sure that civilians are protected, that the next day that they might still be alive. So because you might not see something in the news, and I know this is your business, doesn't mean, or you don't see announcements, doesn't mean that that work isn't continuing to regain that ceasefire so that aid can continue, as we also stand by Israel and the nature of what's happening for them and how as they still deal with the fighting. It's not good for anyone in that region. But yes, our work continues to get back to that ceasefire, to make sure that people can get aid and to survive this, which is the sole focus of all of our efforts for that region.
With regard to extradition of Tahawwur Rana, who was convicted in the Mumbai terrorist attack and sought after in India, he has been transferred to India right now. He landed in India this morning, U.S. time. How does the secretary sees this as a message to the terrorists who have operations from U.S.?
On April 9th, the United States extradited Tahawwur Rana to India to face justice for his role in planning the horrific 2008 Mumbai terrorist attacks. Some people watching may not remember these, but I encourage you to look them up and to find out exactly how horrible this was and the importance of this situation today. These attacks resulted in the tragic loss of 166 lives, including 6 Americans, that shocked the entire world. The United States has long supported India's efforts to ensure those responsible for these attacks are brought to justice. And as President Trump has said, the United States and India will continue to work together to combat the global scourge of terrorism. So it is, he is in their possession, and we are very proud of that dynamic.
The senior advisor to the Iranian leader, Ali Shamkhani, today said that if military threats continue against Iran, Iran will kick out IAEA inspectors and hide its enriched material. What's the U.S. reaction to that?
All right. First of all, these actions, the threat of that kind of action, of course, is inconsistent with Iran's claims of a peaceful nuclear program, right? Also, expelling IAEA inspectors from Iran would be an escalation and a miscalculation on Iran's part. The United States remains deeply concerned that Iran is amassing a growing stockpile of highly enriched uranium for which there is no credible peaceful purpose. Iran is the only non-nuclear weapon state producing highly enriched uranium at this level. Also, beyond the threat to expel the international nuclear inspectors, but also threatening to transfer its stock of uranium to secret locations. And again, why would one need to do that if it was for peaceful energy work? Doesn't make much sense. So again, it is an escalation and a miscalculation on Iran's part if they were to do so.
So a quick question about a Wall Street Journal report. They're saying that Chinese officials acknowledged in a secret meeting last December that they were behind a widespread series of cyber attacks on American infrastructure, and they linked the attacks to escalation over Taiwan. Just wanted to ask you if Chinese officials have made any kind of similar statements to this administration, or if this administration was briefed on that apparent admission during the transition.
That is a good question, and we're going to have to take that away and get that back to you. When I do that, by the way, for people watching, we really actually do get back to the reporters with the answer to their questions. So that's a genuine framework we ask.
I have 2 questions on North Korea. First question, North Korean Kim Jong-un recently said that the U.S. and South Korea and Japan's efforts to denuclearize North Korea are nonsense. Does the U.S. believe that North Korea must completely denuclearize? Second question, President Trump has mentioned that North Korea is a nuclear state. Will the State Department formally recognize North Korea as a nuclear state? Thank you.
Well, I would say for questions about what President Trump might do, you must check with the White House. We do know, of course, that the administration has made it clear that North Korea has to be a denuclearized state. So that's the only thing that's acceptable in that regard.